we have a few to you that I'll pose. Have you used standard tools for data cleanup harvesting, such as Open Refine? Also, a question about ontologies to augment that work.
Hi, Richard. Yeah, you're kind of on the right track. Let's face, since harvesting is not something we implemented as a plan, but something that just happened from the scratch, we didn't use any of those tools. Later on, of course, we found some of them handy, but has been simply we didn't find the time now to bring everything in one of those tools and decide on one of those. So maybe something for the future. And the ontologies for the entity work, yes, of course, in all of those models, there are a lot of ontologies working in the background. So even before you get your results here, and especially it's the quality of the results is heavily depending on those ontologies. So for example, just a few weeks ago, I did some tests on named entities of local Austrian towns, and the smaller they get, the more often they are not recognized. Although from the kind of the language they are used in, was pretty obvious that this were locations, but it didn't bring them up. So it definitely shows in each of those models there had been a perfect combination of several things until they are really working.
Yeah, and we have a session on regionalized speech-to-text recognition on our third session just for that use case, that it's great if it's in a standardized language, but as soon as you have dialects and regionalization with AI, it changes. So yeah. I'll just put this out to both Christoph and Virginia and Edith about what systems you use. So I think that was just a general question about which archive systems you use.
Well, now, how many hours do you give me for answering this?
You had quite a few.
Let's say we're using a lot of different systems here. So starting, let's say, from basics like the main archive database system for television, for example, is a cooperation between the German broadcaster from ARD and ORF called FESAT. In radio, we're using a different program which is a part of an online programming tool called COCO, which is an abbreviation. I now have to make my mind of what is really meant, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of things, and I don't think that makes sense that I'm just listing up here different systems. If our viewer here is really interested in, he can address me directly, and we can speak separately about that.
Thank you. And Virginia and Edith, I saw VSN and Eticute Media, right? Are those your systems?
Yeah, we use VSM as an integrator, and we use Etic Media, which is a Spanish vendor for speech processing and analysis. But for the archive system itself, we use an in-house development called ARCA. I don't know if the question is about our archive system or about the AI tools, but I think that's the answer. Yeah.
Just a few other questions came in terms of the use and the reaction, in particular for ORF, but I think it also is over for RTVE. In terms of this harvested data, how do the documentalists and or journalists who consume this new metadata, how do they react to this type of metadata?
In general, very positive. Of course, there are some remarks about sometimes that the quality might be improved and so on and so forth. But since we kind of tried to get in close communication with everybody using it, and as soon as we introduced this, we wrote to people and tried to catch up with them. What do you think about it, and so on and so forth. And for example, for speech to text, we also introduced it in parallel in the production content management system, where it's used directly in production, for example, for making transcripts for live interviews and things like that. So people are currently used it. They really love it in general, I have to say. But there's a lot of improvement. I've seen also the questions about language issues, dialect, and things like that. Of course, this is a big issue, especially, for example, when you use it on historical material. Language changes, and Virginia, for example, and Iris told about the good results, or even better than they expected results on historical material, because the use of technology at that time was done by professionals through all the productions. Microphones were used correctly, people were talking correctly. This helps a lot, even if there is then much more noise on it and so on. This is not as bad as you're always playing around with the microphone during an interview and you're holding it the wrong way, or if you don't end a sentence in a way that makes sense, like I do all the time. So I would be a disaster for all language technology. So from that point of view, there's also a lot of things to be done at ORF. Currently, we have 2 projects running where we are cooperating in developing an Austrian-German language model. Colleagues in Germany, for example, the Bavarian Rundfunk does the same. So there's a lot to be done and to be improved. But let's say from the way it is currently now, we have a much higher quality than we expected, and a real good feedback.
And Virginia and Edis?
Yeah, talking about archivists, well, I think we are working on it. We are going to train archivists in this new technology. But we have had good experience. For example, last week, a famous actor passed away in Spain. And thanks to this technology, we could find a quote to start the news bulletin with this quote. Otherwise, we couldn't do it. So I think it's we are training, and but I think it's the future is I think it's good, no, for this technology.
Yeah, if I may, I just only add that, well, we are just starting with the indexing this content in our archive system, because we mentioned during our presentation that it was really challenging. The integration of this metadata in the archive system was a real challenge for us, and it is only now, like, I don't know, 5 months before, that we are able to retrieve and reuse this automatic metadata generated. So I think that they have not realized that all this content is there. We'll see what happened when they finally discovered. We'll tell you.
They won't be shy to tell you.
Yeah.
This we know.
Absolutely.
You will get the human feedback for sure. Danielle, if I may, there's some clip questions here. The size of the RTVE database that was used to query with CLIP, and the performance between the CLIP representations and other purely visual vector representations.
Yeah, well, in order to perform this test of these search applications, we computed these semantic vectors for between 10 and 15 programs. So that would be the database. And in terms of comparison between models, this has been a study just about CLIP, so I can give you that comparison. but it is said in the results of the original paper, FLIP, there are several comparisons with a lot of models, including that resonance model that I think the question was referring to. And in general terms, I think I seem to recall that CLIP was achieved better results in this kind of tests.
And what about training for close-up objects that might appear at different camera angles? That was another question.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I explained myself in a bad way, but the images used to train this model are very variable. They have taken a lot of information, photos from the internet. There are all kind of angles, close-up photos, far ahead photos. There are data of all the types. So the model has learned to create a semantic concept from an image or a text, whether there is a close-up object or you're seeing two objects. As we have seen in the presentation, as humans, we can too change the semantic interpretation of things from the point of view. And so does this model. If you are seeing something from very close distance, you are not going to interpret the same thing as if you are closer apart. This model, as I've said, it is trained with all kinds of photos, but it's going to change the semantic content that it extracts depending on the angle. Yeah.
And the tool you're using for the comparison, please. Somebody just wanted to know. I believe you've mentioned that, but I just wanted to let you answer that.
Oh yeah, I use performing a vector distance. This a mathematical operation between these semantic vectors. It is to put it in simple terms, is just seeing how much these 512 values are similar to the other 512 values. It is not some fancy metric.
Thank you very much. And I think, if I can kind of sum up, if there's a question that somebody wants to pose, most importantly, because unlike our in-person gatherings where we can keep a mic open, as Zoom will shut us off exactly at 11:30. So I would love to just get in any other final thoughts before that. But I think there's a lot of questions about the interaction reception, the change of the documentalist's tasks with all of this new technologies. And I just thought as a final kind of closing comment, just love to hear, what a good conclusion is of a future state or a current state and the embraceability or lack thereof.
Maybe I can start here. So definitely there are some changes. So we are more and more real data managers. It started with harvesting because it was our decision on the early days what to annotate. Now it's our decision what to harvest, and also it's our decision what to mine. And last but not least, it will be us who will train the different services, or at least provide the training material, which means by selecting the training material, we'll have a big influence again on the results. It's still, let's say, the main role, kind of a hub. Everything is turning around. Is still, let's say, the documentalist in the archive. Our role is therefore changing a little bit because by how we annotate it, we kind of filtered information. The mining system here rushes us now with a lot of data that on the first and second view, you might think that it is unnecessary and just blocking your system. But maybe for some future users, it will be worth. But again, it's now our turn to make this big new avalanche of data useful for our customers. And so our task is not getting easier here. So I just can say good luck with that. And I say I'm off again to my PMC. But yeah,
No,
so far from my side.
The jobs aren't going away is the headline. Yes, for sure. Virginia,
Definitely.
And it is as well for you.
Yeah, I was reading the comments on the chat, and I think that definitely archivists are the added value to AI. So that's my headline for this session. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Danielle, you know, just kind of coming into this, right, as a student of this practice, I just wanted your final thoughts as well.
Well, I think that we are all seeing that these new technologies, this AI, are changing the game, and I think that we have to be smart enough to adapt our systems to this new technology without losing our head and giving everything to these systems.
Well said. I will. That's a great way to end it. So I just wanted to take the time to say thank you to all of our panelists here. Thank you to all who have stuck around for our Q&A and for your questions. Please remember to check out the 3 remaining sessions we have on AI facial recognition, AI user contribution and regionalization, and then metadata gathering and workflow in the clouds. Same time, same format. And should you want to also check the FIADIFTA website, please, there are calls for papers open for the World Conference in October, which are wrapping up, and also for awards from each of our commissions, which are a good thing to take a look at. And I just want to say a final thank you to everyone in front of the camera and behind for making this work. And thank you again, and hope to see you at our next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.